Good morning, guys. I wanted to come at you with some parenting experience here. Currently, we are going through a very extreme case of hives with my 6-year-old. He has developed them due to strep throat, which apparently is very common. The reason why I decided to make this video today was because um, I know, as a first-time parent, of a 6-year-old and, a second-time parent to a 19-month-old, things can be very scary at times because we don't know what it is. We don't know what's going on. We don't want our kids to be in pain, especially when they start crying, when they're itching, when they're, uncomfortable, when they're unhappy. It makes us very stressed out. And, from a parent to a parent, it's very helpful to know that not only have other parents been through it, but they feel the same way that you do. Before I start talking about it, I want to preface this that I am not a medical expert. I have no experience whatsoever. I have no medical ties to anything. I'm just a parent who has had the experience and am sharing my experience with you so that maybe it will help you through yours. When my son was very young, he used to get heat rashes a lot. It's very common in younger kids because their skin is so sensitive. It's so new still. Hi, baby. And especially in hotter areas, it can be a very common thing because, the baby will sweat and then the clothes will rub up against it and cause heat rash. Heat rash is something that's very simple to take care of. Obviously, you want to hydrate your child using Pedialyte, Pediapops, Gatorade, anything that has electrolytes in it. You want to use that as opposed to water, just straight water, because they need to replenish the fluids quickly. They need their body to be able to get back to what they need to regulate. So you're going to need something more than just water. And once they get back to whatever, regulated temperature and all of that is for them, then you can give them water again. I would stay away from sugary things because the sugar does not help the situation. It actually kind of hurts the situation. So anything that you can find electrolyte wise is going to help them exponentially, because essentially what's happened is that this is normal and they've dropped down here, and water isn't going to bring them back up to normal fast enough. So you need that added electrolyte to jump them back up. Heat rash does look kind of crazy. It can be a very daunting thing when you've never experienced it before. It does look like your kid has hives, but it's generally only in the places that the clothes are, because it's the combination of the child sweating and then the clothes rubbing that's causing the skin to react that way. You can give your child Benadryl. Obviously consult your doctor first. You can consult Dr. Google, but if you do that, I would suggest to review other sources just to make sure that the information is across the board the same. That's generally what we do. I don't particularly like to tell people to Dr. Google things, but if you have the availability to stay calm in the situation, to be able to look up the multiple sources to make sure that the information you're getting isn't across the board information. Heat rash is really simple. You just get them hydrated, cool them down. You can put like oatmeal on the skin to be able to help the skin calm down. Oatmeal baths, basically anything that has oatmeal in it, because oatmeal does help the inflammation in the skin. You can use aloe vera. The problem with aloe vera is that sometimes it can cause like a stinging reaction that isn't comfortable for them. But it is also an anti-inflammatory. That's why it's used after it's an after sun care, is because it does have that cooling anti-inflammatory effect. You can give them to help hydrate them fruits. like watermelon, like high water content fruit, like watermelon, any kind of melon really, but watermelon for sure is a good one. Cucumbers, if they'll eat cucumbers, things of that nature, because it's high water content. So you know, you give them that, they're getting the vitamins and minerals from the actual food and the water, and then electrolytes. The thing with heat rash is that it will go away fairly quickly. Most of the time, if you can get your kid hydrated and get them calm, and you can get them Benadryl, or even you know, like the soothing oatmeal or whatever it is that you choose to use, especially the Benadryl. I would definitely recommend the Benadryl for whatever dosage for your kid's age. I think Benadryl is from 2 and up, and that's what the dosage is safe. But anything for like any child underneath that, I would definitely try like the oatmeal and stuff like that, because it will help the heat rash go away quickly. That's how you'll know the difference between heat rash and hives, is that heat rash generally will go away within an hour after, you know, treating your child. Sometimes it takes a little longer just because of hydration and things of that, but heat rash generally goes away fairly quickly. When it comes to hives, which is what we're dealing with my 6-year-old, they will last anywhere between 24 hours to weeks. And that's all obviously dependent on your child and, you know, how that happens. Hives are one of those things where the doctors, even like our pediatrician, we absolutely love our pediatricians. We've even, you know, talked about not wanting to move away because we didn't want to leave our pediatricians. But hives are one of those things where they just don't really know what can bring the hives on. There are things that cause hives. In my son's case, he had strep throat, and although he's no longer contagious, he hasn't been for a long time, because once you start the antibiotics within 24 hours, they're not contagious anymore. Although he's not contagious anymore, his body is reacting. It is a side effect, essentially, to the strep throat. So they can get hives, or they can get something called scarlet fever. Scarlet fever is essentially hives on the trunk of the body, meaning like chest, belly, and back. My son's is an extreme case to where it's everywhere, literally everywhere, like between cracks, on the neck, behind ears, on the private areas, everywhere, his feet, everything. So it's not uncommon. It is extremely uncomfortable for them. It is itchy, it is uncomfortable. It's just not a good situation for them. It's almost like having chickenpox, if you've ever had chickenpox. He is vaccinated against chickenpox, so we know that that's not what it is. Plus the fact that it is giant red welts, as opposed to little bumps. That's pretty much the deciding factor between that. Is chickenpox are little bumps that are itchy and they're all over the place, as opposed to hives that are welts. Hives do cause swelling. He does have it on his face, and so his face is a bit swollen. Unfortunately, when it comes to hives, there's really nothing that you can do. Our pediatricians are very holistic in the fact that they want to do everything aside from giving medication, which we absolutely appreciate, because we want medication to be the last resort. So you can give a corticosteroid, like the doctor, can give a corticosteroid, but the reason why ours don't like doing that is because the steroid shot will work for a few hours, but the hives can come back tenfold after it wears off. So we would rather just have him push through and have us be diligent about oatmeal baths, calamine lotion, Benadryl. If your kid does have hives, and like I said, ours is 6, so that's what I'm giving the information for. Our pediatrician said 25 milliliters every 6 hours of Benadryl. It doesn't matter if it's children's Benadryl or if it's regular Benadryl, because it's all the same. It's just children's Benadryl is a lower dose, like a lower amount. So instead of it being 25 mils, it would be 12.5 mils. But the actual medicine that's in children's Benadryl and regular Benadryl is the exact same. It's just the dosage that's less. So if you were giving children's Benadryl, you would be giving a double dose as opposed to regular Benadryl, which would just be one dose. There is a version that we purchased, I believe it's the Equate version from Walmart, that is children's Benadryl, but it's the 6 to 12. So the 6 to 12 has the full amount, so you don't have to give a double dose. But yeah, that's basically what we're going through right now, is the Hive situation. He is incredibly uncomfortable. His temperature is elevated, his skin is hot, so he gets cold really easily. The other thing with Hives is that you do not want heat at all, because it exacerbates the situation. It makes it worse. It hurts their skin. It makes the welts worse. It makes the swelling worse, so you want to avoid heat. So like light clothing, nothing restricting, no heavy blankets. Right now he's sleeping with a sheet because we want to make sure that he stays cool so that the hives do not get worse. But he is super itchy all the time. The Benadryl helps the itch and the calamine helps the itch, but it doesn't take it away. So he's very uncomfortable right now. And the reason why I'm bringing this information to you is so that if you are a parent having to deal with this, you're not alone. This is normal. He will get through it, or she will get through it. The one thing that you have to worry about, actually there's two things, according to my pediatrician, if they're having issues breathing, emergency room immediately. That means that bacteria or infection has spread to the lungs and it is causing a worse issue. That is an emergency situation. Take them in immediately. If it's just the uncomfortability, try to make them as comfortable as possible, and you just kind of have to ride it out. It is not contagious whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about anyone else getting hives. Fingers crossed you'll get through it as fast as possible. The other thing, I apologize, the second thing is if you brush your finger over the hive like that, like put pressure on it, brush over it, if it goes back to what normal skin color is and then goes back to red once you release, that's fine. But if you brush over it and it does not change color, in other words, it stays red, immediately take them in to see a medical professional, because something else is happening and it's not a good thing. One more thing about hives. They can either be red and blotchy, or they can be skin color blotchy. It's a darker color than the red. It looks really weird, but it is normal for it to be that color. And I'm sorry, I keep thinking about it. They will spread. They will absolutely spread. So like my son had his entire back was red and covered in hives yesterday. This morning he woke up and his back is pretty much cleared, but it has moved to his face now more predominantly. It has moved down his legs more predominantly. So hives will spread. It does not mean anything other than the whatever it is that the body is fighting is moving and the body is reacting in that area. Aside from that, just monitor them, make sure they're okay, make sure that they're as comfortable as possible, and just make sure that, you're watching the breathing. Just swipe a couple of areas to make sure that everything's okay, and then just keep them as comfortable as possible. If you have any other further questions, let me know. Always, always, always consult your doctor. If you have any concerns, and your doctor isn't available, take them to the emergency, because you would rather be safe than sorry. But hopefully this information, if it finds somebody going through the same situation as we are, finds you, gives you a little bit of peace of mind, gives you a little bit of an understanding as to what's going on. Again, not a medical professional, never have been, never will be, but this is the experience that we're going through and the information we were given from our doctor. Good luck, and again, if you have any questions or concerns, let me know, guys. Thanks.